today's conversation is much to do about communication in a relationship. And I'm the guy that posted the question, so I'm not very anonymous at this point. I've got a question, because from what you've described, a lot of it is internal work. A lot of it is applicable in a relationship, in a friendship, even in, let's say, at work. You know, you mentioned that, now I don't know that part of the brain that goes on and offline, but, but yes. So it's really a lot of internal work. In other words, I must know myself, I must understand myself, and I must know my triggers, etc. I just want to know, is this, if I'm in a relationship with someone whom I feel needs development like that, is this something I can help with? Or is this purely a personal journey, a personal work that they must put in? And I mean, I could ask this question in multiple ways, because some among us are dating, some among us are married, etc. But suppose somebody's still in a dating relationship. Is this a Begazela situation? Do you stick around and hope for the best? Or do you... How? And, you know, because it can be quite tricky.
You want to start?
Perhaps let me be naughty and say, well, if you're married, you have to stay. Well, because, you know, it's an opportunity to, you know, to build, to navigate. I think as long as you continue to have honest conversations together, in highlighting what has been a struggle, and empathetically so. When it comes to the dating scenario, where, you know, we haven't committed as yet, I'm intrigued in today's world, and this might apply in both uncommitted and committed relationships, at the level of, or the lack of depth in how we communicate, in how we relate and get to know each other. And I think if two people are coming together with the intention of building something together that is long-lasting, so not situationships, to all my single people, but you're coming together with the intention of building something, then I think it's only right to start having conversations around gaps you're identifying in each other, and start exploring how those gaps become opportunities that you can overcome together. Because they say, and I think it's true, whatever you tolerate or decide to tolerate before the commitment, brace yourself, because once you're committed, it could get 5 times worse, and you need to be able to live with it. So that's why we can't be shallow in our conversations as we are courting each other. Let's have real topics. Because yes, if you're the type of person who never listens to anyone else because you are the firstborn and you were raised to be a tough young lady and you will not listen to anyone else, well, then you're going to struggle in that marriage. And it's okay for somebody to meet you and say, hey, madam, but this your attitude, you know. But of course, lovingly so, not judgmentally so. So yes, that's just my invitation, but let's hand over to the coach.
Yeah, I think for people dating or courting and planning to get married, I think these are important things to understand. If you observe that the partner that you want to get married to, they can't listen. They're always in a state where they're just responding, and you have raised the issue over and over, and you know something that one is interested to actually accept or work on, I don't think that when you commit to the marriage that will change. I think, like my wife has said, it's going to become worse. So I think it's up to you to decide to say, do I have what it takes to deal with a person that I can't fully communicate and I can't be understood, but they're always wanting that I understand them or understand their viewpoints. So then the decision lies with the person. So we can't say, go for the relationship or not go for the relationship, where your ability and your capacity to deal with such kind of a partner. There is also an aspect, I think, Brother Francis, that a person who finds themselves with a partner that lacks the ability to just listen, is that you have a bit of a responsibility. If you are married, there will be a journey for you in terms of being patient and being also kind and gracious in the process. But don't make the mistake of not communicating, even if it's a simple word. I don't feel like you hear me. When you get the opportunity, just raise that issue, but obviously in love and in kindness, to give them an opportunity to say, look, maybe this is something I need to pay attention to, because something that my partner keeps on communicating. Here's what I've seen, that any person that wants their marriage to work, they will have also the willingness to pay attention to those things that their partner raises. So if then this person wants the marriage to work, it's not just their sudden change, but their recognition to the issue and their commitment to working on that issue to rewire a part of the brain so they're able to actually listen. And so they will have a responsibility. So instead of just saying, I'm leaving this marriage because you don't hear me, I think that where the willingness, their commitment, and their knowledge to say, it's a struggle I have, and allow them to be on a journey of really working on that. If they are stubborn about it, you will be in that situation, you will weigh as well, if actually this is what you want to be a part of for the rest of your life.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. Just by the way, as an announcement that we are now in the Q&A session, so you can use the slido.com website to post your questions. You can obviously join us using that access code. But we all, of course, encourage, if you've got a question, if there is a question, just raise your hand and I'll be on the lookout for that.
We actually prefer that. So if you're worried that your partner will know you asked the question, then use Slido. But if you are not worried about their opinion, please put your hand up and a microphone will reach you. We actually want those questions. I think we come together in this way to learn from each other.
Yeah, and you've touched on something about communication.
There's a question here as well.
Oh, sorry.
I'm not saying stop asking your question.
You've touched on something about speaking with compassion, speaking with grace. I know that we've touched on this before, and I just want to ask that you maybe elaborate a little bit, just give context on what that, because I think it's quite important.
Yeah, I think for what I always encourage people is that we are all coming from different backgrounds. If somebody came from a background where they were criticized, they had gone through a lot of things, they had to fight for themselves and defend themselves, they will grow up, even in the relationship, and if they have arrived in the most safest space, they will always have that thing at the back of their mind, that if they don't fight for themselves, if they don't justify, defend, no one is going to do that. It's their responsibility to do that. So I think that understanding where your partner is coming from, or maybe the journey they have had, gives you a sense of, if like you're putting yourself in their shoes. Because sometimes we can also lack grace most of the time when we see that our response we get from our partner it's because of us, or it's because of me, my personal flaws. There's something wrong with me. We also personalize that. So if we personalize that issue, it also becomes, that's why we also want to fight for ourselves. We want to wake this person up so that they don't see us in the bad light. So I think in showing grace means that when you see your partner in that point of view, one way of showing grace is that don't match their level of either aggression or their level of defensiveness. Maybe also find a different way or a different time to bring about the issue, but not in a judgmental way, not in a way that reduces them and undermines them, but in a way that somehow bring a level of assurance that really showing grace and compassion along the journey. And I think that partly the greatest demonstration of grace isn't just the things that you say, it's also the patience that you show towards your partner's flaws as you engage them around the issue.
I want to contribute before our next question, and I want to contribute because that answer is very supportive of the victim who's receiving the lashback. Should any amongst us be guilty of communicating non-graciously, very quick, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Harsh. A lot of the time, that's reflective of what your mind has been entertaining. I've learned both in my marriage and both in counseling a lot of people that sometimes we can entertain a lot about our partners, and when the harshness comes out, that's when you actually understand what it is you've been premeditating on. So we have to invest time in not only being respectful verbally, but in how we think towards the person we're spending life with. The Bible asks us to meditate on those things which are of a good report. We ought to apply the same in our relationships. So if you are struggling with whatever it is that's bringing up the frustration that you're then lashing back on, there are times where we're encouraged that, instead of being argumentative about something that you feel your partner is failing in, take it to God in prayer. And as you pray over that issue, you will be amazed at how God works on you and how patience then grows in you around that area. But you're almost creating new pathways in your brain around what you want to focus on about your partner. So exclude the negative, focus on the positive, and a lot of the time that rectifies what is then flowing out of you.
Amen. And just to add to what she's saying, I think because we are individuals, even in life. Have you ever seen that we like to label ourselves? If one area in our lives is not working, every area of our life seems to be like we are miserable. Life is bad because you are traffic on the road, and everything around you seems to be like it's very bad. It's a way that we actually, it affects even how we go about to progress in life. One of the ways to add to what my wife is saying is that if your partner has this inability to listen, that's not the totality of who they are. There are also aspects to them that they are good at. But if you label your partner that they are horrible because they can't listen, yes, your experience is going to be that horrible because you are only seeing them from just that dimension of their inability to listen. So while you are dealing with that inability to listen, there are other areas of your partner's life that they are good at. In fact, one of the ways to get to help them pay attention to that area is to commend, affirm those areas where they are good at, so that by the time you are able to speak about the things that concerns you around their inability to listen, they feel secure because you have elevated aspects of their lives that they are good at. That's part of also validation, because I think that if your partner has this inability to listen, and they also feel invalidated all the time by you, it's going to be very difficult for you to actually help them address that particular issue.
Thank you so much for that presentation. And as you were speaking, I was actually reflecting. I took a few notes, especially when it comes to understanding the reality of that person. I mean, there's certainly something that all of us can actually learn from that. So thank you for that. So the question that I have is on the gathering of information, right? So Pastor K, you said that you need to understand what you've heard. So I just wanted like some practical tips in terms of like understanding what you've heard without it actually sounding like an interrogation. So it can be true for the person that's been trying to be understood. If somebody keeps on asking you questions, then it feels like an interrogation, and then it triggers, the defense mode. So I guess what I'm asking is that what are the practical tips in trying to understand that person, being able to ask the right questions without actually getting that person to be defensive? Yeah.
Okay, a very good question. I think in the sharing, we said usually because if somebody has been communicating and explaining how they feel about the situation, the first step is not to start to respond with the interrogation, right? As a way, because we said, gather information, gather data, because it's going to throw them off. The first point of gathering information is basically after you have heard what they have said, is to say, thank them for taking time to share, because in taking time to share also, it's something you should have in the mind, is that a person who is not interested in the relationship will never bring about an issue. So when somebody comes to you to bring a concern, something that is bothering them, have in mind a sense of appreciation that this is somebody who is interested in working on the relationship. It doesn't matter how they brought the issue. The fact that they brought this issue, have that in your system, that they want this marriage to work. Coupled with that then, in gathering data, you start by obviously validating how they're feeling. It's part and parcel of stabilizing the situation. Can even thank them for bringing the issue. It's all part, it's not manipulation. It's really, because this, what we are taught is that even loving people, you first of all must practice to love people before actually the natural thing kicks in. So some of these things helps us just change our behaviors. You thank them, you validate them. And then you go to say, if I heard you correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I want to make sure that I understood what you said. You have already started to gather information. That when I didn't, for instance, what are the common issues we fight about? Men, maybe you came home late, or you said that if it's a man says, okay, I'm going to see the boys, we are watching World Cup, and then you get to watch World Cup with the boys, you didn't see that your battery died. Your battery was low and the battery dies. But you promised your babe that you're going back home at a particular time, and you never showed at a particular time. And then you get home, you find somebody who is ready to really bring the situation. And you can be ready on the other side to justify. You have all the valid reasons as to why you couldn't come, as to why you didn't pick up the phone. But the idea is that you want to hear the deep emotions, how that situation made them to feel. So you'd ideally say, correct me if I'm wrong, what you are saying, did you mean this and this? And you go on to explain. If they say, no, I didn't mean, that's not what I meant. And then you can also say, okay, please help me understand and help me clarify. It's part and parcel of gathering information. And then they'll go on to explain and explain. And again, you repeat the same process to say, okay, if I have heard you correctly, are you saying this and this and this and this? And they say, yes, that's exactly what I meant. Then you can go on to explain the situation. So we don't start by interrogating or gathering information. You let somebody say what they meant to say. Then you bring what they said, and you communicate it back to them to say, if I heard you correctly, you said this and this and this, and it made you feel this and this. Is that correct? And they'll say, yes, this is correct. Or they'll say no. If they say no, it means that you still need to say, okay, please help me understand. And then it will go on and on that way. Yeah. Because if you really question them, they'll feel like, now you are the boss, now you are this, and then the fights will continue. Yeah.
And I think tone, environment, you almost have to be strategic around the environment you host that conversation in. Actually, in our culture, what we are taught as women is, if I ever need to address anything sensitive with my husband, so let's give the World Cup example. He hasn't answered the phone, he's walked in late. I should let him walk in, he should find his hot meal, I should let him eat, I should even ask, what else do you need? And then only after we engage in the conversation. So, that's just obviously, advice that elderly give us. But how you structure the environment, the tone of voice, your body language, all that is critical. Then it won't feel as much an interrogation as it might appear to be.
Thank you. Looking out for questions. Yeah? Oh, there's a question at the back. I'll give you the mic. No, it's not.
We want to record you.
Oh, okay. I think that last part that Pastor Kuzi touched on is what has been on my mind to ask, to mention that what I've been hearing touches more on the how to listen, right? But I'm thinking, is there time to listen? Is it okay to say, hey, don't talk to me now, I'm watching soccer at the moment? or hey, you can hear these kids are making noise, let's not talk about this now. Is it okay to say that, or should you at all times pause what you are doing and listen?
Very good question. It depends on the seriousness of what is being discussed. If it's going to affect the kids, of course, then the environment is not conducive to start that conversation. You are able to say, but the kids are here, can we maybe wait? But also how you say the kids are here. Because we can also use the kids to communicate a sense of, I'm more responsible than you. Don't you see there are kids here? You want us to poison our children. So this is very, very important, because if that is communicated as well, you are not just going to be dealing with the issue that needs to be spoken about. Even that is going to be dealt with as well. So you want to make sure that maybe we can wait the kids. If you're watching soccer and the issue needs to be raised, you can weigh the cost. Are you getting paid to watch soccer? Are you going to stay in the house with the soccer players? So you can weigh and be able to sacrifice and maybe say, okay, let me attend to this issue. Then at the end of the issue, you can say, baby, I also love soccer. I love some of these things. Next time when you find me and there's something, please just pay attention to that and let's find a different way. So you always have to navigate this conversation in a more mature way. Yes, there is time to listen if there is noise around you. If one of you is not feeling well, personally, I don't like to argue in the morning. I wake up in a mission, with a mission to do certain things, to be somebody. And I don't also want to poison somebody to poison me or poison my wife when she's going to work and she'll find maybe her boss is not in a good mood. She left the house in a bad mood, gets to the office finds somebody. Personally, I always want I wake up in the morning with the idea that I want to actually achieve, I want to support her achieve things. So even if in the morning she steps on my toes or something is really, I'm going to hold it, because I don't want to start the morning that way. So the most important thing is to just have a sense of responsibility and care and respect that the level of connection that you're going to have in the relationship is actually linked to the idea of listening to each other.
And I want to emphasize that last point in relation to, being intentional around how we relate and build, because we have to be honest. It's so easy to coexist. It's so easy to coexist. You wake up, you go about your day, you come back, you attend to the kids, you sleep, next day, same routine. We actually had to have a conversation in our home that when there are sensitive topics, when we're having an off day, unless the off day is coming as a result of work, we are not to engage in that day. So, like the example he's given, he doesn't like to have arguments in the morning. So we will wait until the end of that day. You've gone to work, you've delivered, you've been productive. Then come, let's have the sensitive conversation. I'm married to a pastor. I cannot bring up issues on Saturday night, Sunday morning, because it messes up the message he's going to preach on Sunday morning. So I have to hold it until after Sunday lunch. But you have to have those conversations in your couple environment around when is it okay? Because you don't want somebody to be driving out of the driveway and there you are telling them what you think or, without restraint, and it's messing up where they're going to deliver and be productive, which is something that is important to both of you.
Yeah, and here is one of the things about the question you have raised is that even cars, if you are in the car, never start serious conversation or serious argument, because just the spacing itself, you will find that it will mess you up in a way that somebody would want even to park the car and walk out of the car. So if there are really serious and important issues to be raised, always observe the environment you are in. Is it allowing that conversation to actually happen? And if it's not allowing that conversation to happen, because remember, it's not just about talking and resolving issues. We are seeking connection. And just talking for the sake of talking isn't really productive. So you always have to observe as well the environment and places where you are in. Is it allowing actually to engage your partner on serious matters or not?
Yeah. Thank you. There is a question. Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry, I didn't notice.
Hello. Okay. So I just have two questions to ask. Firstly, I don't know, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
So I wanted to ask about what it's like to especially talking about young people who are not married yet, who are looking to maybe find themselves in relationships, right? In our lifetime, the current situation that's happening in the world right now with the flooded social media, everyone having opinions, about what must happen in life, and So I've seen situations where sometimes the definition of love that says it's meant to be a pure affection, right? That is based on principle, right? That's usually the answer that you get. But then you fall in love with someone, you become genuine to them, but then that kind of love that you show, somehow it kind of chases them away, it pushes them away. So I ask myself, how do you love someone and be genuine and also at the same time maintain a situation where by so doing you're not pushing them away? I think Pastor spoke about also having different backgrounds, because I think with different backgrounds we also have different approach when it comes to love. Some also traumas. If you grew up without parents and love was absent when you were young, and then you start getting attention when you're when you're an adult. You start you want to give everything to this person. You have got so much to give. When you get there, this person starts thinking that you are desperate or there's something wrong with you. You get me? So I don't know, how do we work around those things? That's my first question. And then secondly, I think maybe it's still similar to what I just spoke about, just an addition. Also it comes to regulation of feelings. Because I feel like we're living in a world where now it's like the world is teaching us to pretend. We can't be real anymore because we are trying to fit in. So how can we find the situation? How can you draw the line between being able to to be genuine without, even if in the process of regulating your feelings, whatever the case is, but also being genuine, such that even if you are in a relationship with someone, you're not just trying to fit in, but you also want to feel that you belong. Because I think more than anything else, love should be about a sense of belonging. Right? I don't know if I'm wrong, but I stand to be corrected. These are just my questions.
Very interesting question. I think your question is, the first one is actually very broad and it has its own dynamics. I think, first of all, you have to have clarity in terms of what is love to you as how do you love, how do you express love to others? And what is your expectation of that love that you display? First of all, there are people that when they get into a relationship, they're very possessive. They want to be in the space of, they suffocate the person. Because that's, for them, that's love. They're too attached to the person. They're always calling, they're always checking where this person is. When this person says, I want to go and have a drink with my, my friends, they get upset, why am I not there? That is an health, it's not love, it's not health. So for me, I would want maybe privately to just have a conversation with you how you demonstrate love that chases people. So there's that dynamic. You can love a person. There are even people who lavish gifts, but these gifts, they want to control the person. So when this person is not responding according to how they planned, that if I lavish this person with this gift, she's going to behave this way. If she doesn't behave that way, then they get upset. Then the response of the other person is say, you know what, I don't want to be in this place where, yes, I get gifts, yes, but I feel like I'm being controlled, I'm being manipulated. And then this person end up leaving. It can come across as somebody was loved, but then they left. So even when the love was given, there was some level of expectation that then when those expectations were not given back, it creates tension. That's one side. There's also other side where we have also seen it in church as a pastor, that you can genuinely love people, but people also are broken. There are people who don't know what love is. They don't know what being cared for is. And just you demonstrating care and loving them, you become a suspect. And they would decide they don't feel comfortable because this is why, sorry ladies, find that sometimes ladies love rough men. You know, there are some who they don't love just a kind-hearted, gentle, patient.
I'm seeing men nodding hard.
Yeah, they're patient because they take that it's like it's weak or there's something wrong with this person. You become a suspect. So if you find a person like that, don't change who you are. Let them go. It speaks of their unhealthy state. Wait for the person who actually is going to match who you are. Because if you force yourself to accept to be with a person who actually want to change the goodness you are, and then you adjust yourself to fit in, you're going to be so miserable as a person. So if a person can't receive who you are, and they don't find value in who you are, give them an opportunity to go. Don't feel bad about it as a person. The second question around being wanting to fit in, and I think I always speak to my wife about being self-assured. I think that we are all tempted, including all of us. We are all tempted wanting to fit in, want to not be authentic around certain things. But I think that you are the only person that you can ever be with, right? I believe in even the love that you extend to others is one that comes from who you are and how you value and appreciate yourself. So if you begin to violate yourself, undermine yourself because you want to fit in, you are actually hurting yourself. So I think that don't fight hard to try and fit in. I think keep on building yourself, keep on learning, keep on growing. If somebody challenges you about certain things they're not happy about, embrace that as part of the feedback to make you become better. But if you are in places that forces you to fake yourself so that you can be accepted, the principle is you don't belong there. Right? And I think for young people, that's one of the challenges, is that sometimes we know that we don't belong in some spaces, but it feels cool to be there. So we adjust, we dismantle who we are because we want to fit in. And along the journey, then the idea of being authentic and being yourself get diminished. So I believe that it's a journey of assuring yourself and understanding, growing, and investing in yourself. And also being confident that you are unique as a person. There will always be a person who digs you as a person. Yeah, not every woman, not every man is going to be love you or value who you are. But if you remain authentic, you will actually find the person who actually feels that you are great. It may take longer, but it's fine.
Yes, and this Instagram lifestyle, it's not real. You know, nobody, I always say, when you post on Instagram or on social media, TikTok, it's always, you know, angle perfect, is my lipstick on? It's the perfect photo. Very rarely do people portray what's truly going on. So be very careful about following trends that are not the truth. You know, it's always showing lavish lifestyles or what's happening, you know, and this obsession with wanting your picture to be liked or following the trends that you see, what's happening is it's really eating at people and almost creating a mental health issue among people. So be mindful that in times where there's so many narratives out there, authenticity remains critical. And not everybody's doing it. So remain who you are, be authentic. So that's my advice to young people. Because a lot of the time we are pressurized into, you know, what isn't real. And then you fall in line or you align only to burn yourself. So be mindful of what social media tells.
Yeah. Just looking out for another question. In the meantime, there is an extra question on Slido. I'm just reminded of, again, a previous conversation we've had, and that is to do with really understanding oneself. And again, I think to the question that was asked earlier, I think during the dating stage, you've got to have the hard conversations. You've really got to have conversations time and time again so that you understand and that those conversations can trigger and get a person to bring up their authentic self. Because you may have met through Instagram, but eventually you have to come to senses and have real conversations and understand that half the time that you saw them in the plane, they were actually not in the plane, it was a toilet seat. So those things are important. But with that said, there's a question that says, how do we heal from relationships that ended without closure and overcome the fear of entering new relationships?
It's a very good question. I think it's how we are wired as human beings, is that we want things to make sense. I think the brain wants to make sense of things. Why did the relationship end? So we always want to have that sense of closure, the reason and the why. And I think that then when we get stuck at that, and we get also stressed, I think that if there was no closure, and guys, I think no matter a breakup, no matter how somebody justifies and tells you the reason they broke up, if you are not the one who initiated the breakup, you're not going to accept that. So the fact that somebody explained the breakup doesn't really mean that there's been closure, because you did not arrive at the same place where you actually agreed that the relationship should end. There are even divorces that are like that, where somebody initiates the divorce, somebody didn't even think that, somebody was thinking about a divorce, but somebody insists, no, we need to divorce. You're not going to have closure, and you can get stuck at the fact that you don't have the closure and full explanation as to why the relationship has ended. I think that the most important thing, in just generally in life, is to agree that something has ended. Whether there is full explanation or not full explanation, have this, just arrive at a place that this has ended. It has come to an end, and ask yourself, how do I move forward? What are the things that I need to heal from? How can I learn about my past relationship that I've had? How can I relate differently going forward? Because even that non-closure, it has given you information to work with in creating a better future and making decisions going forward. So I think that I will encourage the person is that don't obsess with the idea that you need to have closure so much, but I think it's the agreement that this has come to an end. Learn from that relationship, gather as much information in terms of how you'd want to move forward and relate going forward. And I think that also the fear of the unknown, or we have a reference point because the relationship ended in a certain way or didn't work. And I think it's also to challenge, it's a limiting belief. It's not the reality. And I think some of the things that we have to, the brain, the way it works is that you always have to keep on challenging it. But I think that some of us have so much respect regarding to what we think about that we don't even challenge what we think about. So I would say that challenge those thoughts, those fears. Are those fears real? Are they legit? And if they are real fears, how can you then manage the situation in a way that you don't get stuck where you are, but you make wise decisions going forward? So the idea is to move forward in a wiser way, as opposed to getting stuck at a place because you are afraid or because you didn't have closure. For me, those are just some of the things that I can speak into, unless my wife has something to say.
Okay. Just want to see, there's another couple of questions. By the way, on Slido, if you see a question and you want to ask the same question, you can just like it and it will get priority. How do you handle repeated issues from a partner, such as things you should not do that make your partner uncomfortable? I suppose they continue doing those things. So how do you handle repeated issues from that partner?
I would measure their impact first. Is it not closing the door of the toilet? Or it's not closing the door of the toilet? Or the bathroom door or bathroom seat? Is it how I've said I like the toothpaste to be squeezed in a certain way and she or he squeezes in a certain way? I'll measure the impact of that behavior on the relationship. If it's a political party preference or toothpaste preference or music preference or bathroom door preferences, I would adjust. And I would say adjust to that. Because it's not because your way, even cutting vegetables, you cut vegetable in a certain way. It's all of these things are about upbringing. It's not because they are right or wrong. You grow up in different places, so you show up differently. And it's about to saying, look, this has nothing to do with really what makes the relationship work or not. It's not because my partner is stubborn. Maybe I'm being petty and I'm elevating things that are not supposed to be elevated at a level where we have moved them to. So I'll categorize the issue. But if these are character issues, maybe it's, for instance, we have issues of infidelity. And we've spoken about it. It has happened. Promises are made. But this behavior continues. Then the responsibility is up to you, because opportunities have been given for change and transformation, and it's not happening. Then the responsibility is on you to say, I will stay with this person whether they change or not. So there are no hopes of changing and you choose to stay. But if you also say, I can't stay with somebody that they keep on doing something that keeps on hurting me, you also have a responsibility to make a choice to say, I don't think I have the capacity to say. Maybe it could be a physical abuse as well. Those are serious issues. You have to weigh these issues to say, do I have the capacity to actually be in this environment, or I don't have? Because sometimes the problem we have in relationships is that we have a lot of this faith and belief that our partner will change. But do they have the same faith for themselves about the change? Then we are frustrated that they are not changing, but they don't have the same belief and the need and the desire to change. We have the agency and the belief. So you also have to check to say, is my partner comfortable in who they are? And if they are comfortable in who they are, regardless of how hurtful and painful their character and the problem that their character has caused in the relationship, then you have to basically wise up and make a decision that will protect you. But where the issues, if they are really issues like such as I've raised, categorize them and separate them. If they are really character issues and they are things that are painful and the experience are painful, they keep on repeating them, I think that I would say pay attention to that and see if actually that's what you want to be a part of for the rest of your life. But don't frustrate the person who is not ready to change because you are demanding change. You will frustrate yourself and frustrate the person because they haven't arrived at a place where they need to change.
Yeah.
But if you do squeeze toothpaste from the bottom and the other one from the middle, just buy 2 different toothpaste tubes.
A solution. Live in abundance and in peace.
No, but the issue is not that. How are you abusing the toothpaste?
No. Sometimes we are busy, man. We just want to do the stuff and go.
Oh, we laugh because otherwise we cry. There is a question that has a bit of priority. It says, if you constantly need assurance from your partner, does that mean you have some issues? Your personal previous issues unresolved, or you are just insecure? Yeah, that's the question.
You want to go?
So, if I heard you correctly, was the question only few people got that, but okay. So I think if someone, let's first say that we all want assurance, we all seek it. It's something we want to hear from the other person. So I would highly encourage that, as partners in the relationship, that we are consistently assuring the other. But yes, if you're finding that you are dependent on the assurance, perhaps it's an opportunity to introspect around why or where is that stemming from. Is it a low self-esteem issue that you might need to walk a journey with someone and grow or overcome whatever that challenge is? Because before he can assure me, my being self-assured is so critical so that I'm not consistently needy. Because sometimes always wanting that assurance creates a certain level of neediness, which can begin to, overwhelm the partner. And that's where you sometimes find people also then start withdrawing because they're overwhelmed by that level of neediness to be assured.
Great. And I think I also want to add to what she's saying. That's not to say that you have no reason to feel insecure. Because we sometimes in relationship can also be, if your partner has given you signs, they are always answering the phone privately, There's always something dubious about how they act. You have reasons to feel insecure. And there's nothing wrong in asking and communicating and to say, when you answer the phone in the middle of the night, or when you when you behave in a certain way, or when you go to a particular place, you switch off the phone, I can't get out of you, especially to some of you who are, maybe you are in a relationship where there is a baby mama, a baby dad stuff, and then every time somebody's with their baby daddy or baby mom, there's just something that makes you insecure about the relationship. It's not you being insecure per se, is that maybe the dynamics around how things are being done are making you feel insecure. So there's also that aspect to say, are there activities that are being done by your partner that are making you feel that way? But if your partner hasn't made anything or done anything that should raise that level of insecurity in you, then it's your responsibility to work on being insecure. Because I think that I counseled somebody a while ago who was being accused by the husband that you sleep around with men and all of that for a number of years. And yeah, after some time she ended up doing it. Was she right? No. But the level of argument and accusations and being seen as somebody who is unfaithful for years created a platform. The husband was insecure, and in his insecurity, he created a platform. The very thing that he feared and he complained and he accused the wife of, she ended up doing it. So I think it's a balance. Look inwardly and externally. Are there things that your partner is doing that are making insecure? Communicate to those things. And if you are with somebody who is questioning you, don't also accuse them. You are insecure, because sometimes when we are guilty about certain things, we want to make the person who's questioning us feel bad about themselves. So we turn the issue that they are raising and we spin it and we turn it against them, because you want to silence them and you want them to feel bad about them. You want to label them as insecure. So that also is wrong. So if you are generally a person who is insecure, yes, then seek help. Understand what is it that has that is causing you to be insecure. How you're growing up. How were you impacted, and how can you overcome this? Because if you insist in accusing your partner, two things will happen. They will become your accusations, or they will leave the relationship.
Yeah, thank you for that. There's a question here about tolerance. The question says, how can one build tolerance in relationships to face challenges with a mindset to solve problems instead of just quitting the relationship?
Yeah, let me answer this question, because I think I had a similar thought today or the other day. When we know what is at stake, we instantly become tolerant. You can see in your workplaces, you can work with somebody who is they are senior, but they are not kind, or they have their own issues. You know what is at stake. So you behave in a certain way because you know what is at stake. When we have options, and we face somebody, even in the workplaces, we say, I can't take this because there are options. Then you pack your bags or look for another job or plug into the business you have started because there are these options. I think that in relationships sometimes, because we have a lot of options, and maybe we're at a stage in our lives where we think that we can just leave this relationship and be with somebody, or somebody is going to find us. This sense of having options sometimes makes us not to tolerate things that actually are not that bad, because there are options that are available. But also, if you see value in the person that you are with, you see value in the relationship, there will be a willingness to work on the relationship, and the desire to quit is going to be less. So those are the things that, for me, before you actually think about what options are you entertaining. We have seen people who they are in one relationship and they're having issues. There is a guy or a girl on the side who is eating on them. Because there's somebody that they are thinking it's going to be better, they don't want to work on the issues that they are having in the relationship, because they're thinking, yeah, if I just go to that lady or to that guy, I think I don't have to deal with this. And I think this is also why dating and having multiple partners teaches us. It doesn't teach us to tolerate things. It doesn't teach us to be patient, which are the things actually that makes the relationship work. So I think that we can learn to be patient and tolerate certain things in the relationship when we can see what is at stake.
All right, thank you. So I have a question, but I will start with here. So I think from the moment when we walked in here, I think Mama was talking about listening and whatnot. I think I was convicted of a couple of things that I'm not doing right. And I'm like, oh yeah, you know, how you listen and all that. But somewhere along the line, I felt like, no man, I can't be this bad. Because I felt like there were so many things that, you know, so I felt like I can't be this bad. Could it be that I'm too hard, you know, on myself? And also in marriage, you're not alone. So I'm like, no, maybe some of those things I'm pushed, you know, to be that way. So I think I stopped somewhere. I even said, no, God, I think, no, are you addressing some of these things on the other side, you know? So
He can speak for himself. God has spoken.
So my question is, I want to be helped to term or to name that. Is it self-righteousness when you're being convicted, but at some stage you're like, I feel like I'm giving everything away, you know, will I still identify myself in these things? If this needs to change, I need to adjust here, then what's remaining, you know? So I want to be helped to identify that. Is it self-righteousness, or is it when you've got strongholds on certain things where you feel like, but I want to hold on to 1, 2, 3, 4, and that feeling of thinking that, am I pouring too much? Are we all pouring, you know, equally? So yeah, the first thing is to help because I feel like you fight better when you know what you're fighting. So I just want to be helped to identify what could be that, and also whatever you can help me to identify it to be, then also assist me as to what is it? Is it continuous surrender, or how best do you respond? I hope I make sense.
Yeah, you do make sense. Most people, I think what you're dealing with, first of all, I think I have two thoughts around the issue. Number one is, it's okay to be convicted. It's okay to feel that you need to change. It's okay to see things being said and being spoken, and you see yourself in there. That is an opportunity to actually become better and grow. There's no condemnation. There is no judgment. It's an opportunity to grow. So I think that don't sit in the middle. Open up your heart to whatever you are hearing that requires change, that requires transformation, and receive that for yourself. It's for your own good, right? Second to that is there's also an underlying fear, which I think that most of us do have in the relationship. We think that when we are good, we are going to be walked all over. So even where we don't need really to fight, even where we just need to say, it's okay, we think like somebody's going to abuse us, right? I think that in the relationship and in marriage, you are not going to find the balance if you are in a state of fear to say, if I'm the only one who is changing and wanting to do better, what if he doesn't change? There's no what if. You only know your stuff. He should know his own stuff. You should focus on the things that you know that you should be working on, growing and becoming, because that is ultimately your responsibility. And I think it's a mistake that we make sometimes, that we embark on a journey of change. But we are saying, no, but this guy or this lady, she's not growing, she's not changing. And then looking back actually hinders us. And also, we also have a certain interpretation of what growth is in our own eyes. Maybe to your partner, it's different. But I think that the most important thing is that embrace the journey, accept the conviction. Don't be afraid that you're going to be abused, or you don't let any fear guide you. Embrace that. I think there's nothing to label like self-righteousness and judgment. I think the idea is just, if the opportunity to change is there, it's all yours. Take it. Don't be afraid. My philosophy is that when you are in the relationship and they brought a judge to say who was the cause of the relationship breakdown, may it be found that it was not you. You did everything that you can. Maybe the other person was not willing. So it means that the focus really is about me and being empowered, changing, becoming the person that I need to become. That is all I have, and that's all I know. She will have to have her own responsibility to embark on that particular journey. And doesn't mean, because sometimes we think that if I become better, my wife will become better, or my husband will become better. Sometimes it's not like that. And that's why sometimes we are good for 1 month. And after 1 month, we haven't seen anything. We say, no, man, I think all of us must just be very hard and tough. Embrace your journey of becoming the woman that God wants you to be. Let him also be ministered to by God accordingly. Yeah.
No, thanks.
There's a question behind. You should do like you are toying, just raise it up.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity. So my question is, I just want to ask, is it, okay, so I just want to ask, in a relationship, you are not yet married, is it okay, like honestly, is it okay for a lady to give, is it okay for a lady to give the person that she is in a relationship with money? Or is it okay, like, does a sound man, a real good man, ask money from a lady? Or in the name of, I will pay you back. And when you ask for the money back, he will say, what do you need money for? You don't have kids. Like, honestly, does a sound man, like a good man, ask money from a lady? Thank you.
Good question. I think my wife will start. let her answer from... she can answer from... you don't want to answer? Okay, she doesn't want to.
I think you need to answer on behalf of the sound man.
Look, first of all, I think when you are relating in the relationship, there's a way that you feel about each other, and you will be able to notice when a real need comes up. Doesn't have to be a need from a man, it can be a need from a woman. Because think of this, if you are in a real need, and I know it's easier for men to help, but there's also been a situation where I've counseled some where they were so hurt that they were in need, and their partner had the means to help, and they couldn't help. And it hurt them to say, I wonder how our future will look like. So in a health relationship, we're talking about health relationship, when there are real needs, you will be able to tell this is a genuine, it's a real need. Somebody doesn't even have to really ask. You can just see, I have the means, I can help. So there is that. it's okay to help one another because you are relating. And if a need comes up that somebody never planned for and you have the means, of course help them. But there's also another side of abuse, which I think that's where you are. Where I think that if you have asked for money, I've asked for a boyfriend and girlfriend, I ask money from my wife, my girlfriend, she gives me. I don't think that she has to wait for me to ask. She doesn't have to wait. I don't have to wait for her to ask for the money because already there is a problem. It means that I'm not communicating, I'm not giving. It must be in my heart that the money that I borrowed from my girlfriend, because I want this relationship to work, and I also want to be seen as a responsible person, I must either communicate or I must actually go back and say, oh, remember the money that you basically helped me with? Here's the money. But then if I want to make her feel bad for the things that she did for me, then I have a problem. So I think that in that dynamic, it's not a healthy dynamic. You shouldn't be made to feel so bad for asking for asking back your money. You shouldn't even be the one initiating to ask. The person who borrowed must be the one who actually takes the initiative to say, this is the challenge, but I'm working on it. When the money has been made, they should come and say, hey, babes, here is the money. And the idea of making you feel like, oh, if it's you or somebody else you're asking for, to say you have a child, what do you need money for? I don't think that is a health way. I don't think that we can't even say a real man. I think that it's not a health and it's not a loving way of communicating to somebody that you supposedly would want to even marry in the future. So I think that in your case, if you are in your case, draw a boundary to say, in this relationship, we don't borrow money from each other. Just draw it until you get to the place where a balance can be made, or you willingly just say, oh, I saw you didn't have this, here's the money, or he says, I saw you didn't have this, here's the money. But I think maybe draw the boundaries around the money and just communicate to say the way it has been, I don't think it's a health way. And I don't think we need to continue around the money issue going forward. I won't be able to lend you money. And if he's actually a real man, that is a test. If he's a real man, he's going to abide by those boundaries. If he's not a real man, he will work so hard to break the boundaries by making you feel bad about that decision, then he's not a real man. And if he's not a real man, he's also at that moment, because he's not going to be benefiting from that, he will decide to pack his bags.
Are you answered? Communication. Now, like, whenever I was asking about money, like this is the money that I gave him last year. And I asked him about the money, like I think around April, May. He kept quiet. Now, if I call, he doesn't pick up. It's like now, okay, about the relationship, I know it's no longer there because there's no communication. He's just quiet. He's not saying anything about the money. So
He won't give you the money. If he didn't give you the money when he was in the relationship, when there was a motivation, he won't give you the money.
okay, thank you.
So I think that if you can't take it legal, for you to start healing, maybe you must have to just let it go, so that you can heal and wise up going forward. So those are the options that I have for you.
Thank you.
I think it's on. Yes. Oh.
So to all our young people who've listened to that question, I just want to say, don't underestimate the power of money matters in relationship. Yes, it's good, it's kind to be helpful, but pay attention to what's going on. A lot of the times, the money behavior you see in dating is also like the previous reference I made, 5 times worse when you are committed. So that's why, again, we can't be shallow in our dating. You want to ask, so what are your money habits like? Those are important, critical conversations to have. To my sister, be mindful, yes, you've clearly burnt your fingers, I'm sorry. But I pray that that does not impact your future relationships when you do meet someone. Because there are people who've been in your situation, but got money back, and that was genuine help they extended towards the person they supported. But may God grace you in your future relationships.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm gonna dwell on communication. Now I have two people, person A and person B. As much as they do communicate well, whenever person A raises an issue, the person B will listen. Listen carefully and do not cut whilst person A is speaking. And at the end of the conversation, person B will acknowledge the issue risen, and person B will say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. But at the end of that conversation, person B will be like, so you know, I did that because you did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So how is that issue handled? Every time, no, it will be a respectful conversation, no interruptions, and person B will be saying, I'm sorry, I didn't mean wara 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 wara, but at the end, Mara, you did 1, 2, 3, that's why I behaved a certain way. So how do we deal with that?
You want to go ahead? Okay, there's a light flashing this side, guys. I think we in the previous relationships at Charis, I think we have spoken about it. So I would suggest that in that conversation, rather have a separate conversation that acknowledges that every time communication is made, I do appreciate the way you acknowledge the issues, and the apologies are always taken. The only challenge that I have is that there's always a blame shifting. For me, this then what it does is that it makes even the apology not invalid. It invalidates it. If you have a challenge with the things that I did, the same way I took the opportunity to come and address the issue, I would want that going forward, you also do the same. If you have done something bad, I would want that you also take the opportunity to actually specifically address that issue that I've done that is bad. Some people are insecure. Some people have certain emotional wounds, which sometimes they feel that when they feel that they are bad or they have done something wrong, there can be fear that somebody might leave them, or fear of looking so bad. So the way they want to do it is to equalize the wrong, so that at least also the other person doesn't leave the conversation feeling that they are the holier than thou. So psychologically, that's how it plays. So the blame shifting is to equalize, to say, although you are raising this issue that I've done something wrong, you also do something wrong. So I think the good thing, what you can do is to actually take that aspect of blame shifting and address it separately, because it's how they feel about themselves. And I would want to know, when the behavior has been raised and the apology has been offered, is there a change or there is repeat? There's a change. That's good. And you can also speak to actually the change that you see. But you can then raise the fact that it does affect how we communicate and resolve issues. I would want you to have the openness to address issues directly. And when I raise issues, let's stick to the issues that I've raised. And when you raise issues, I'll also listen to those issues, but let's not mix them. But I like the idea and the fact that when apologies are made, there's commitment to change, which is a positive thing. Yeah.
Um, one, two. Good afternoon, everyone. All right, this question is very close to hers as though, so I'm gonna say, just tell me if it's the same. Maybe could be saying something different. I just want to say this. So, you know, I know that people generally are very able to gather and make sense of general things about morals, about what is right and wrong. People are very talented in being able to gather and have a conversation and say those right things very eloquently. But when it comes to a point when we have to now be in scenarios and situations that occur, those morals disappear. I'm not sure if you understand what I'm saying. I mean, okay, let's say a couple comes together and they talk about issues. And they're very able to really dissect and communicate very well with how they see their future, how they see issues, how they would respond to saying sorry or motivating each other. Now, when issues come forth very closely to what we were talking about, then scenarios come. And remember, we were probably talking about things that we understand, we've picked up on each other, that we want to progress in. And we know what right and wrong is in there. And we actually feel very credible at how we communicate. So communicating about the issues is something that we like, this is actually amazing. I love that about us, that we're able to communicate and even almost say, okay, maybe that made you feel uncomfortable, so sorry, I understand. That's within the conversation. Now when things actually start happening and occurring. So it could be things that actually repeat, but hey, I spoke about that, we know. And it's happening at that very point, and you can feel that you're probably uncomfortable and there's no change from that person. How do you deal with talking about the same thing that you literally spoke about when things were very clear in the conversation, in the calm sense, and when things start occurring, how do you raise it up to how that actually affects you? I'm not sure if I'm making sense, because sometimes it might not repeat, but then when it just starts repeating over and over again, and when the conversation comes, somebody doesn't become accountable, even though we've had the ability to talk about it at first. So from having the ability to talk about it at first, going through scenarios where sometimes they progress and then sometimes they just suddenly don't, to such a point that at the end when you raise it up, they don't take accountability. So how do you reference them not taking accountability based on the fact that we've spoken about this at first?
Okay, I think first of all, in the marriage is different. In the dating, it's also different. I think when people are dating, there is a lot of pretense. There's a lot of performance. There's a lot of putting up a face because they want to be with this person. So it's not so much in terms of what you discuss and what somebody promises that is the most important thing. I think what is important is when that promise is tested. That's when the real character comes up, and that's when you need to actually weigh if this is the person you want to be with. Because you can talk about being kind, being nice, or understanding and all of that stuff, but when the real test comes, all of these things that you spoke about nicely on the phone and lying to each other, you know, comes up, you can't own up, and you don't want to be held accountable. That is the true character. So don't judge a person by the conversation you had. Judge them by the display of their character. That is what you are committing to. Does that make sense? Because failure is inevitable. We will fail, we will make mistakes. But if you have made a mistake, this is why we repeat grades and classes. This is why we write supplementary exams. Life gives us opportunities. So if a person has failed, let's say, for instance, in that case, they've made a mistake and they realize that they've actually, behaved in a way that is not what actually the relationship should be, and they come and say, you know what, I'm sorry. What happened was really not great, and I'm committing to actually working on this, and you are actually seeing that commitment. Then you are able to commit to that character because you are seeing that somebody has failed, have made a mistake, but they have actually taken accountability and committed to that journey. That's how it works. So we don't settle by just nice conversations and nice commitments. That's not actually how life works. When a test comes, how somebody responds to that test, that's who they are.
Thank you for that, Pastor K. We are sorry. Is there a question? No, but that's gift. I'll give you an opportunity to ask the question. I just want to let you know we have only about 15 minutes left. We have only 2 questions that we're going to take on Slido, and the third one is Gift's question. But let's see how far we can add more questions. You've got a mic.
Okay, so I just want to take it back to the finances issue that was raised earlier. Just asking, in a dating phase, how far as a man am I responsible for my partner's needs or whatever is happening in their lives? Am I in any way responsible, or do I do it out of the willingness of my heart? Is it when I get into a relationship, have I signed up to now be responsible for your financial needs, or is it a thing of me assessing based on where I am financially and based on where the need is and what I'm able to do, then I'm able to do that, not because it was asked of me, but it was a thing out of observation that I realized, okay, there could be this need. Let me try fill up that need, because there's the aspect that was being raised about real men and all of that stuff. So now, when you are a man and you are not...
When you're a real man.
Yeah, no, in this case, when you are a man and you are not able to meet certain needs, then you are no longer classified as a real man because you are not showing up financially. So that's why I want to understand and understand really for us as men, how far are we responsible for our partner's needs? Not because we don't want to meet them at the point of their need, but am I really, really responsible for your needs, or do I do what I can when I can?
You want to start?
Look, again, I would say it comes to when the two of you come together in that courtship, dating journey. You know, have you discussed where this relationship is going, right? And in discussing where this relationship is going, you've entered into a journey of understanding each other's worlds. So understanding what you do, what she does, and again, hopefully, you are having real conversations that are transparent. I think if you've identified areas where you can be of help if you're able to and it is within your means. I'll share a personal example. When I met my husband, I think I had just... when did we meet? 2007, but we only started courting in 2008. I think I had just moved from a public sector role to a corporate role. And in that corporate role, being a healthcare professional, I was flushed with all manner of credit card from banks. And I could access, what you call higher purchase living here. It was exciting. Remember I said I came from a public sector role. So what I earned there, this is what I now earned when corporate, was huge difference. So the level of credit I could access was huge. And of course, I fell into a trap. Would go shopping because I wanted to look good in my corporate role. I wanted to suit up. And I swiped, name it, Edgar's, Woolworths, what, I had them all, maxed them all. Met him. Now, those of you who know Pastor K, there's no knowing Pastor K without having real conversations. So in getting to know each other and where this was going, number one was no one's here to play. If we're going to do this, it's going to end in marriage. Okay? Are we on the same page? Yes. Okay. What do you do? What do you do? Eventually, I had to open up. I have a card with Edgar's. I have a card with Woolworths. I have a card with, and it's like, whoa, that's not how we live where we come from. You know? We don't do that. He decided to pay off my debt. Yeah? He didn't have to. And I'm not saying go tell your boyfriends to pay off your debt. He decided to pay off that debt. But it's also the lesson that was coupled in, you know, that's not a lifestyle we want to uphold because it traps you. It keeps you restricted. So he didn't have to do it. He could have easily said, this is how much you earn. Actually, if you start diverting this is how we win in this situation. So my advice to young ladies is, you know, especially if you are in a role where you generate your own income, enjoy the benefits of generating your own income. Pay for your hair, guys. Yes. Why should he buy your hair? If he does, well and good. But don't put unnecessary pressure on these young men. I mean, he's not your husband. You know? So it sounds like I'm being hypocritical because he paid for my debt, right? But I think what I'm trying to say is I'm seeing that there's a lot of unnecessary pressure that this Instagram lifestyle has put on us, and in turn we want to pressurize. You don't want a situation where a good God-sent man ends up leaving or ends up going to get into debt because you want that nice weave. We've got to be careful. So, brother Gift, no, only Christ supplies all our needs. Please do not become Jesus Christ on behalf of anybody. However, again, it's intentional conversation around where you're building. If you're serious and there's commitment and you're working towards something, I believe there's no harm in coming together and planning towards that.
Just to add to what she's saying, I think the determining factor as well is the generosity of your heart, not the needs of your partner or the entitlement of your partner, right? Is there a difference there? Your heart, doesn't matter what you're making, what you are earning, there must be a generosity and a willingness to be of help, of use. But if then there is this entitlement and expectation that because you are dating, then you are responsible, then something is wrong. So what must be fixed then is that wrong notion. The values are not aligned, and that's the conversation that needs to be held. Because then even if you get married, to turn into a lot of things. But I believe that because as a man, you are coming in as a leader, you must demonstrate generosity. And this has nothing to do with whether you are earning less or more, or it doesn't really matter. Have a heart of generosity. You want to be of use. If you go to a restaurant, don't say 50-50 when you know you can pay. You know, if there's something you have seen in the shop, don't wait for her to ask. Even if you are dating, give. You are not buying, you are just demonstrating this is who you are as a person. But if it comes with a sense of entitlement and expectation, then deal with that separately, because that is the issue.
Thank you for that. Am I on? We are fast running out of time. There's a question here that I'm going to take. And I just want to note that Mam Kuzi didn't go back to the stores, by the way, after the credit was.
Oh, no, yes. Ooh, we are allergic to those accounts.
Okay, greetings everyone. Thank you for this gathering. So I have two questions. The first one is, let's say you are from a broken home background, and then you are in a serious relationship with someone. and then you kind of see the person like your dad, and you are very scared and say, like, maybe this guy will be like my dad, but you love the person. So what advice can you give? So the second question is, so I have a friend, she is into ministry, so she kind of loves someone who is out of her faith. So what advice can we give to her so that she must not see like maybe we are jealous of her or what? Yeah, thank you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think the advice, first of all, you should give to a friend, and even to all of us who are here who are single. I think that living a fulfilled life and a purposeful life is greater than marriage. And any decision that you are making around marriage should then come under that decision, should support what you intend to do and become in life. I think that sometimes the mistake that we make is that because we are conditioned by society and by life, when we arrive at a certain stage, we must have a boyfriend, girlfriend, or must get married. Sometimes we don't even actually make wise decisions. So I think that encourage the person to value what she's doing first and see that as truly the ultimate goal in life. And then she must ask a question: what role will this person that I want to be with support, enhance, and help me move forward? Or this person actually would derail me and drag me into a journey that actually is not going to make me live a fulfilled life. So in life, we suspend at times our sexual desires and our desires for companionship and our desires to have somebody sleeping next to us for a greater good. So it's very, very important actually to think that way. Because if we worship companionship, sexual desires, we'll make decisions that just want to fulfill those desires, but they sabotage the greater goal of actually what our life is all about. So for me, it's important to have that into perspective. The issue of coming from a broken home, it's unfortunate that sometimes it can be like that. And I think I would say, first of all, understand how coming from that home has affected you as a person. And find ways, first of all, even before you have a person in the picture, how coming up from that home has affected you, and how can you be helped. Because it's not just about being in the relationship. Sometimes it's just also what you take from coming from a broken home into this relationship. So I would say start first of all by identifying that, and also have the belief that your dad, or that experience you have had, that is your mom's experience. And not all men are like the men that you grew up with. So give this person a chance and judge them as they are. Even when you are arguing and having issues, that's why it's important to heal from traumas of coming from a broken home. Because you can even be arguing and communicating with this person, not as you see this person, but because you see this person, but you see your dad. So it's also very important to really look deeply within yourself to actually find ways and means of overcoming some of the challenges that your upbringing might have has affected you, and also give this person a chance for who they are and walk that journey. So just have that courage to face this person and let this person prove himself wrong or right.
Thank you. We've got 2 questions, I believe.
Sorry, Brother Francis.
Yeah.
And on that issue around, so the person doesn't perceive you as jealous, right? Prayerfully approach it. Again, be mindful in how you phrase what you phrase. So calmly speak to the person and communicate. That way, you're already showing that this is not malicious, or jealousy. It's really just genuine concern. And do that for yourself. And I'm not saying it's going to guarantee that they'll take the advice. It can be a very tricky environment when someone is already infatuated with someone. Sometimes reasoning and logic disappears in that phase, but you do your part in being an honorable friend.
That's right.
Yeah, the next question says, in marriage, if your partner cheats and you find out, how do you move about that? I guess, how do you handle that? And the last question says, I struggle to communicate under pressure and freeze during arguments, then feel resentful later. How can I improve? I just want to put those out there as we are running out of time.
Want to start?
I'll start with the resentful one. We can refer the cheating to the coach. Clearly, when they feel resentful about having froze?
Yes, so I struggle to communicate under pressure, and I freeze during arguments. Then resentful later, presumably,
But the things
you know,
couldn't be communicated.
yes, I froze under pressure and I couldn't get my point across.
There's so many of us who wish we could just freeze in amidst an argument. I'm looking at it as a blessing in disguise, actually, but I hear you. I think don't be too hard on yourself. Perhaps I would say, seek to understand where that's related to a past trauma, and that's why that is happening. Remember, we mentioned in our talk that, sometimes when we are confronted, our natural response is flight or fight. So some of us, yes, naturally will engage and fight and argue. Yours is clearly the other one, where you flee or you freeze, as because of the overwhelm of the situation. I would say don't be too hard on yourself around being resentful, because sometimes, it's not the best of us that actually emanates in the middle of heated arguments. So I would reflect, I would interrogate, how often does this happen? Why does it happen? And if you can connect it to any particular post-trauma, I would then say you probably need to see someone, either a pastor in your church, a counselor, or a therapist, just to navigate what's really going on there. And they would then also be able to help with the journey of the resentment issue. That aside, take it to the Lord in prayer. Ask for his intervention around what might be going on there and how can you be helped in terms of, being able to humbly address issues amidst a conversation as opposed to freezing in that situation. I don't know if you want to add to that.
Yeah, I think you have said it, something I want to share. But I also think that your partner could be also the starting point. Let them create an environment that makes it easier. Because I'm sure, I'm imagining, maybe perhaps your partner is the opposite. When there's something needs to be spoken about, they want to talk, they want to engage, and then you get overwhelmed and then you freeze. So I think that maybe engage your partner and just say, when there are issues, this is how I feel. I struggle to communicate because of this and this. I suggest that maybe when there are issues, either lower your voice or don't pressure me to say we need to talk now. We need to resolve this issue now. Give me a bit of space, or even find a different place where a conversation can be held, in a restaurant, in a park, that allows a bit of space and a bit of calmness. So I think that the responsibility also lie, is in the hands of your partner to create an environment where you are able to communicate without freezing, without being intimidated, without being pressured. And I think that anyone who wants the relationship to work will be willing to grant that and create that space. If it's not working and your partner doesn't make any changes, I would then also agree as well that engaging somebody to walk a journey with you and facilitate a conversation where you are able to resolve conflict in a way where you feel like you are ahead and you are not barring issues because you are always freezing. Yeah. Cheating. All right. Look, I think there are many things that damages relationships, and one of them is cheating. Is first of all is to acknowledge that you will never have the same relationship once that happens in the relationship. You have to start a new relationship. It's to acknowledge also that. To also acknowledge that...
Not with another person.
Not with another person, yes. It's to acknowledge that something has happened, a rupture has happened in the relationship. But I think that where also cheating has happened, the person who has made that mistake, they help a lot in the way they are showing up for the relationship and in the way they are showing up in seeking to repair what has happened. And also is to differentiate. We cannot judge because sometimes people want to be heroes because they want to stay in the marriage because they're afraid of what people will say. He cheated once or she cheated once and you ran away. Mine has had 5 and I stayed. It's not a competition. What I'm trying to say is that also before the mistake people also make when cheating has happened is that they want reconciliation and forgiveness to happen at the same time, and healing to happen at the same time. Reconciliation, you don't start with reconciliation when cheating has happened. The focus is that you must heal if you have been cheated on as a person. You must heal, you must forgive. Then a conversation around reconciliation must happen. And you must also be in a space where you are honest enough to say, will I be able to actually be in this relationship and hold this relationship in terms of it moving forward, or I can't take this anymore? And maybe being out of the relationship is better for me. We have said in this place, and I'll say it again, the mistake is that there are people who are in relationships right now where they were cheated on, they haven't forgiven, but the mistake staying in the relationship as forgiveness. Because they have stayed. They say they are forgiven. They say they have healed. These are two different things. There are also people who chose not to be in the relationship where infidelity happened, and they are healed, and they are forgiven, but being in the relationship is not a sign that you are forgiven and you have healed. You can also forgive and heal and not be in the relationship. So it's important to have those clarity. Is it possible? Yes, it's possible. Have the right support around the relationship. The person who was cheated must allow to be scrutinized. Accountability must show up that they have changed and they are working also on themselves. I also encourage people. Individuals can say, I cheated because we were not intimate for a long time. That's an excuse. People cheat. There's something about themselves. Right? So then I would want also to see that the person who cheated, that they are also embarking on a journey of growing at a personal level. Because if they don't grow at a personal level and overcome certain things at a personal level, down the line when similar situations happen, they will do the same thing. So it's both working on the relationship, but also the person who was cheated must also commit to a journey of growing and becoming better and must be visible. Then that way you can truly build. And there are people who have built that way. And some have even testified that they have even better marriages after that.